and a warm welcome back. We've now reached the time of diving into our understanding of the factions of Kalad. We begin our journey into the factions with the militaristic Empire of Soga. The Empire of Soga is the largest and northernmost of the four main factions. Its harsh environment and storied past have shaped it into pragmatic feudal society. Upholding the martial traditions of its ruling warrior clans lies at the heart of its identity, with the Soga clan bearing the legitimacy of rule. Severed from foreign rule by a blood-stained blade, the realm soon became riddled with internal conflict. Grief scarred the land, and where misfortune loomed large, profane forces took root, plaguing and preying upon any who passed. The worst afflictions stemmed from dilapidated shrines and neglected places of worship, which became overshadowed by tormented spirits. Through the esoteric practices of the disciples of Rishinkyo, who draw upon ancient scriptures, aesthetic training, and deep understanding of spirits and wayward demons, the Empire's land gradually became more hospitable. To seal away misfortune, the Empire honors its alliance with the Kitsune tribes, known for their fox-like features and alluring rituals that appeal to the gods. By custom, the Grand Priestess, a descendant of the Fox peoples, holds dual roles as both the first Empress and the head court ritualist of the Imperial Soga court. Yet, despite these efforts, the roads and depopulated lands remain haunted by echoes of past failings. Matters of gods and ghosts are left to the few capable of handling them, while the general populace, sturdy and self-reliant, remain largely unfamiliar with magical doctrine. Hardened by constant threats, a sparse population, bitter weather, and war, they tend to favor physical strength and martial discipline. In particular, the Northerners are famed for their brawn and resilience. Every winter, demonic ogroids known as Oni emerge from hibernation and descend from the boreal mountains, ravaging the snowy domains. It is against these threats that the true might of Soga is tested, year after year. The Imperials. The Empire of Soga boasts the largest territory and population amongst the four great factions, as well as the most diverse landscape. Its terrain ranges from the mild coastal climate to the inner sea in the south, through fertile midlands to the harsh, freezing mountains in the far north. The origin. The Empire of Soga traces its roots to the Crimson Ages, when colonists from beyond Kalad settled the north. Many turned against their invader overlords, allying with the native Kitsune tribes to cast off foreign rule. From the uprising, fractured clans rose into power, and after long wars of unification, the Soga clan established imperial authority. The Kitsune alliance, sealed through ritual and custom, has since remained central to imperial identity. Arcane ability. Unlike the Sand Kingdoms, arcane talent is rare among the humans of the Empire. Most magic comes either from the Kitsune, mystics and ritualists who serve the spirits and gods through the Shinryu faith, or from the monks of Rishinkyo, who pursue discipline, scriptures, and aesthetic rites, sometimes awakening arcane ability through their devotion. For Imperials, magic is not a craft of the many, but a sacred, perilous gift, entrusted only to those born with talent or initiated through rigorous tradition. Matters of spirits, curses, and gods are left to the few specialists, while the wider populace remains largely untouched by magical doctrine. Appearance. The majority of Imperials are human, descended from ancient settlers. They are hardy and resilient, shaped by a land of cold winters, rugged plains, and haunted battlefields. Northerners are especially famed for their brawn and resilience, their lives molded by heavy snows and constant raids of Oni. The Kitsune, with their fox-like features and crimson-white attire, are the most distinct non-human population, though they often live apart from human settlements, maintaining their own traditions. And general character. Imperials are hardy, industrious, and disciplined, forged by hardship and old scars. A feudal people, they prize strength, loyalty, and martial tradition, with the Bushi warrior class at the heart to their society. To outsiders, they may seem distant, even unfriendly towards strangers, but theirs is a culture of small, tight-knit communities. And we dive a little deeper into geography and population. The South, coasts and the inner sea. The southern coasts along the imperial and inner seas are the most densely settled and prosperous. Where the two seas meet lies Shinkyo, the new capital, a thriving hub of commerce, craft, and politics. Fishing villages, markets, and port towns line the shores, connecting the empire internally and with neighboring nations. This region is lively and secure, sustained by trade and seafaring. Its prosperity is reflected in refined architecture, colorful markets, and fine fabrics, making the southern cities the cultural heart of the empire. The Midlands, plains, hills, and forests. Moving inland, the Midlands stretch across the rugged plains, rolling hills, and ancient woodlands. Though harder to traverse, they serve as the empire's rice basket, providing the agriculture that sustains the population. Towns here tend to be practical and self-reliant, shaped by a more modest way of life than the coast. The forests of the Midlands are vast and towering, and they continue northward into the mountains. These primeval woods are said to be alive with spirits, primordial beasts, and stranger things lurking in their depths. Both are sources of both reverence and fear. To the west, closing the border with the Great Desert, the plains transition into vast unsettled steppes and high plateaus. These lands are harsh and sparsely inhabited, yet they stand as the first shield against whatever threats might emerge from the desert and beyond. The north, mountains and haunted lands. Further north, the terrain rises into forbidding mountain ranges. Settlements here are sparse, concentrated around resource-rich industrial towns, producing iron, timber, coal, and lacquerware. Winters are brutal, and travel is dangerous, plagued by highwaymen and natural beasts, restless spirits, and the unforgiving land itself. Magmatic and volcanic activity occurs throughout the empire, but is most prominent in the northern and central regions. The Kitsune have long played a role in taming the anger of these mountains, transforming peril into prosperity. Volcanoes provide lifeblood for many settlements, offering heat, minerals, and natural hot springs prized for their healing and comfort. The same forces of the land also give rise to floating isles found in certain regions, a natural marvel that offers both defense and mystique to those who dwell beneath their shadows. The north faces a more immediate threat. In recent winters, Oni, demonic ogroids, have begun awakening from hibernation in the boreal mountains, descending into the lowlands to raid and devour. Their attacks are a constant trial for the peoples of the region, testing their resilience year after year. Northerners are known for their toughness, modest lifestyles, and martial traditions, with simple, utilitarian architecture topped with thick thatched roofs to withstand heavy snow. The East, Kirijima and the Mistlands. The eastern regions, especially the Kirijima archipelago, preserve traditions most closely tied to the native kitsune. This fox-like chimeric people originated here and remain an essential, though often separate, part of the empire. Many kitsune communities live apart from humans, devoted to mystic traditions and their service to the great spirit of the land. Their influence is most visible in ritual, attire, and architecture of the East. The eastern border is defended by the ever-present mists drifting inland from Kirijima. These fogs serve as both natural barrier and mystery, cloaking the seas and shores, warding off would-be invaders while further deepening the region's reputation for secrecy and spiritual depth. The West, borderlands of exchange. Toward the west, along the Hiro-Daira Plains and the Titan's Gates, Soga culture carries strong influence from the neighboring realms, particularly the Sand Kingdoms. Music, cuisine, fabrics, and even architecture in these regions reflect a blending of traditions, born from centuries of border contact and trade. A scarred land. The empire still bears the scars of its history. As the principal colony of the invaders in the Crimson Age, it endured the fiercest battles of that era. Many battlefields remain unconsecrated, tainted by profane energies and haunted by restless spirits. Ruined shrines, forgotten graves, and abandoned villages linger as reminders of the past. Religious orders, such as the Disciples of the True Word of the Rishinkyo faith, work tirelessly to purify these places, but much of the land remains depopulated and unsafe. And population. Despite its hardships, the empire is densely populated compared to other realms. Its towns and cities are more numerous, though generally smaller in scale than those of its peers. The majority of its peoples are human, descended from colonists who allied with the Kitsune to drive out the invaders. The Kitsune remain a vital presence, yet live apart from most human settlements, reinforcing the empire's cultural diversity. Politics. The empire rests on feudal foundations, with martial traditions and loyalty to one's lord at the core of society. During foreign rule in the Crimson Ages, the land was divided into commanderies, each governed and defended by a warrior clan under invader oversight. In time, the Soga clan rose at the forefront of a great uprising, allying with the Kitsune and other settlers who turned against their foreign masters. The revolt shattered the invaders' hold but left the land fractured. In the wars that followed, powerful lords expanded their domains, absorbing smaller clans and forming independent states. Through shifting alliances and bitter conflicts, 5 great rival clans emerged, until, at last, the Soga rose above the rest, uniting the empire under their banner. The lords of these clans were granted the title of Warden, each ruling their regions with considerable autonomy while formally pledging loyalty to the Soga court in Shinkyo. Although the empire acknowledges an emperor, unity is fragile. Rivalries run deep, and political life is rife with intrigue, disputes, and shadow wars. Some clans seek to expand their influence openly, others undermine the Soga subtly, and many resort to covert methods to weaken or discredit rivals. Imperials, citizens of the empire, are accustomed to small, tight-knit communities and may seem distant to outsiders. Yet, their lords are often eager to adopt foreign innovations, especially if they offer an advantage over rival clans. 5 great clans dominate the realm, with the Soga foremost among them. Each commands its own network of retainers and allies, ranging from reclusive shinobi families to monasteries of warrior monks. The most feared of these operatives, the Oni Wabanshu serve directly under the Soga themselves. Obedience and loyalty are further reinforced through marriage alliances and the exchange of hostages. Heirs are often sent to rival clans to be raised and trained in the arts of war and governance. The Kitsune alliance remains central to imperial identity. These fox-like chimera are revered as shamans, storytellers, or fortune tellers, and thaumaturgists, or miracle workers. Their leader, the Grand Priestess, holds the honored title of First Empress and Head Court Ritualist. Tradition also dictates that the second consort of the imperial family comes from one of the other 4 great clans, ensuring the throne retains the backing of powerful allies. And military. The empire does not maintain a single unified army. Instead, each warrior clan fields its own retainers, sworn to defend their lands. These retainers are highly trained and well-equipped, forming the elite core of the clan's forces. In times of crisis, levies are raised from the populace. Unlike in many other lands, these levies are far from untrained rabble. Life in the empire demands readiness, and citizens are expected to know the use of weapons to defend their homes. These, Ashigaru, may not be professional soldiers, but they are disciplined and capable, serving as the backbone of larger armies in open engagements. The military strength of a clan corresponds to the size and prominence of its estates. Lords are granted land and subjects to govern, protect, and tax, with some taking on greater risk or responsibilities for the empire in return for more influence and authority. Despite rivalries, the great clans are sworn to rally their bannermen, with minor lords, who, in turn, call their retainers to arms when the empire demands it. Each great clan also specializes in distinct strengths that add to the empire's overall military character. Kitano, north, renowned for endurance and the quality of their arms and armor. Mononobe, west, famed for horsemanship and archery. Izumo, known for fortification, siegecraft, and ties to the clergy. Aratani, masters of organization, mobility, and intelligence. And Soga, dominant in logistics, coordination, and naval power. Armies are predominantly armed with physical weapons with little reliance on magic. Discipline and strong leadership are valued above sorcery. Rather than one large centralized force, armies are structured into smaller banners, detachments consisting of ranged and melee troops, commanded by an officer and their retinue of elite warriors. This structure allows each banner to fight independently, giving the empire tactical superiority in flexibility over its adversaries. Little pause. Culture. Life in the Soga Empire is demanding, but it has forged resilient and proud people. Harsh climates, constant threats, and centuries of war have shaped a society that prizes strength, self-reliance, and discipline. Virtue and hierarchy are respected as the pillars that brought stability through long eras of struggle. At the center of imperial culture are the warrior clans, the Buke. Members of these families, called Bushi, form the ruling warrior class. Most Bushi are low-ranking landed warriors, with military obligations, while noble houses hold significant power and much of the land. Each clan bears a unique emblem and colors, guided by its own strict code of conduct. These codes are expected to be honored by all members, setting ideals of virtue, loyalty, and discipline. Proficiency in arms is essential, yet so too is proficiency in writing and thought. Warriors are expected to embody both strength and refinement, though in practice, these ideals are often aspirational rather than reality. The clergy, whether kitsune or rishinkyo, live by their own codes. They may hold land but do not rule directly. Still, their influence is immense. They shape daily life, ethics, and aesthetics, and exert significant power in the governing structure. The rest of the population consists of commoners, peasants, craftsmen, and merchants, who make up the vast majority. They hold no land or formal power, yet service to a warrior clan may allow a commoner to rise in standing through skill or deeds. The empire is predominantly human, but the kitsune remain a vital presence, respected yet somewhat apart. Their rituals, mysticism, and spiritual authority are most closely tied to the highest nobility. The Rishinkyo faith, by contrast, is deeply rooted in the populace, where monks govern guidance, healing, and teaching to the common folk. The empire is vast, and though its people share heritage and martial spirit, each region carries distinct traditions. The capital, spread across wide plains, is built outward rather than upward. Most buildings are low, rarely more than 3 stories. Pagodas rise above the cityscape, marking temples. Unlike other cities, the capital has no central castle. Instead, the imperial court dominates. A massive complex of towers, palaces, and ministries, defended by ramparts and a broad moat. Both fortress and symbol, it embodies imperial elegance and authority. Other cities and towns are smaller than those of the Sand Kingdoms. Villages house only a few hundred people, while the largest city, Shinkyo, equal an average desert gnome in population. Settlements are usually built around castles or temples. Fortifications stand distinct with terraced foundations, sloped stone walls, and tiled roofs coated in fireproof plaster. Most towns lack walls but are defended by moats and ramparts. Common buildings are wooden with thatched or clay roofs. In times of danger, civilians flee to castles or temples for refuge. Travel is tightly regulated. Merchants, artisans, warriors, clergy, and adventurers carry permits according to status, but commoners cannot travel without their lord's consent. Regional traits can be strongly felt. Northerners are famed for resilience, modest lives, and martial focus. Southern coasts thrive on trade and craft. Eastern lands and the Kirijima archipelago are deeply tied to kitsune traditions, recognizable in their white and crimson attire, and strong ties to the land. Western borderlands near the Titan's Gates blend with the Sand Kingdom's influences, visible in food, fabrics, music, and design. Wars, haunted lands, and rivalries shaped the empire into a disciplined yet thriving society. From the natives, imperials learned to live with nature rather than against it. Their art and craft blossomed in times of peace, when the flow of trade enriched the land. Painting, calligraphy, craft, and architecture flourished, growing far beyond the austere age of unification. Education. The empire enjoys widespread literacy at a basic level. Lords and temples sponsor local schools where commoners learn to read and write, supporting commerce and administration. Unlike Halrin or Sandlanders, however, most Imperials do not speak the common tongue of Kalat. Knowledge of it is largely confined to the warrior aristocracy, clergy, and traders. For most villagers and farmers, life remains rooted in their local land and tongue. The Rishinkyo temples play a central role. Their monks tend not only to spiritual but also intellectual and medicinal needs, drawing many lay followers. Some temples host populations larger than minor lords' fiefs. For warriors, education blends arms and arts. Youth are schooled alongside other aspiring bushi of their clan, or that of their overlord. At adulthood, 16 to 18, many begin attendance to senior warriors, training directly under their mentorship. A common tradition is the warrior's pilgrimage, a journey across distant lands to test skill against new styles, foes, hardships, and creatures without the clan support. Arcana. Magic is rare among humans, and arcane practice is entrusted to kitsune or esoteric sects of Rishinkyo. To the Soga, magic is sacred and dangerous, not a craft for daily use. Nobles born with talent are sent to the Ministry of Divinations to study under kitsune as court ritualists, and gifted commoners often seek shelter in Rishinkyo temples, unlocking their talent through discipline and aesthetic practice, an approach unknown to the Grand Academy or Hirian College. And faith. Imperial belief is shaped by two major traditions, Shinryu and Rishinkyo. Shinryu, the native kitsune faith, venerates the primordial spirits and gods of the land. It holds greatest influence in noble and courtly circles, preserved and passed down quietly within kitsune clans. Central to its practice are astrology, divination, and close observation of nature, through which signs of gods and spirits are read in celestial and earthly portents. Its rituals are performed to appease the deities of the land and to pacify calamities and natural disasters. And Rishinkyo. Introduced by early colonists, is the faith of the wider populace. It teaches of a creator deity who established the cosmos and its cycles, but does not intervene in mortal affairs. Mortals must endure trials and cultivate discipline to overcome the world's hardships. Its monks serve as shepherds of the people, spreading teachings, healing, and salvation. Over time, Rishinkyo split into many sects, each with distinct interpretations. The two faiths differ, yet coexist. Rishinkyo guides the common masses, while Shinryu influences the noble courts. Together, they fill the spiritual needs of the empire, complementary yet rivals in authority. Neither is seen as more true than the other, both respected as integral parts of the imperial order. Matters of gods and spirits are left to the few with the gifts to handle them. For most Imperials, life is one of hard work, resilience, and self-reliance, far removed from arcane doctrine. Thanks for joining. More next time.